Hit the
No, I had to stop. Welcome to What Are You Even Talking About? A podcast where we talk a little bit about everything. Dr. Joe, the owner of Tula Soul, is a holistic wellness expert dedicated to empowering women through a comprehensive approach that integrates body movement, mindful practices, and spiritual coaching. With a background as a clinical psychologist, specializing in trauma for 13 years, Dr. Joe has expanded her expertise by becoming certified in life, wellness, and spiritual coaching, and is an advanced yoga teacher with over 1,000 hours of training. Her mission at Tula Soul is to create individualized wellness plans that celebrate and uplift women's unique identities, fostering a safe space for healing in the mind, body, and spirit, while also advocating for social justice and mentoring young women. Thank you for being on the show, Dr. Joe.
Thank you. That was a mouthful, but I am so many people. Thank you for introducing me like that. I do oftentimes feel like I'm different people. So, but yeah,
I mean,
I do a lot of different things.
that's a big part of who I am, being schizoaffective. Like,
Yes.
I'm a part of so many different lives, and I'm so many different people to so many different things and for so many different reasons. Like,
hmm
we're all a little schizoaffective to a degree.
Well, I was going to say, even with that label, as a psychologist, I had to get real used to the label mentality. And towards the end, it started to bother me because it's useful in a way of doctors quickly communicating to each other about a set of symptoms. However, one thing can be so many different disorders. Like the symptoms of ADHD could very well be post traumatic stress disorder, or simply a symptom of mom and dad are fighting and there's crazy shit happening in the house,
Yeah,
right?
most
Not
definitely.
necessarily something like that. So I started to think about things differently. And in terms of like what I struggle with, could be called dissociative identity disorder, or it could be called recovery from anorexia, major depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, or it could just be one little neat package called complex PTSD. And so that's just fascinating to me. And I think we need to continue the dialogue and development of how we understand things. And if it's even helpful to call it a label, sorry, I'm going off, or if it's
Clear.
just more helpful to say there is a spiritual condition in the human being, there is a loss, there is a disconnection that is happening that we need to address and be real about instead of labeling people and thinking, this med or that therapy or this talk thing. We need to talk about a global solution. Wow, now I'm really going off. But actually, just looking at what the real problem is and that there's a lack of connection, people within themselves, within their souls, and disconnection between people, real intimate connection, because we're putting up these masks and we're being who we are not.
I agree. I feel like we put up so many walls for so many different things because, media scares us with things. So it
Yeah.
gets in our head and we put up walls. That's the first thing we do. And we have so many walls up that it's hard for anybody to get through for any reason. So we're hiding a big part of ourselves with people when,
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago, we were more open. It's just
Yeah.
with things that have happened recently in our time that we have probably become literally the most walled people to ever exist on this planet. Like we're just not
Yeah.
connected. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's changing though. I feel like a lot of people are starting to realize that and they're starting to connect and they're starting to show people who they really are. And it's a time for truth, basically.
Yes.
It's very much a time for truth.
Yeah.
We like to start the show with question from the last guest without knowing who the next guest is going to be.
Perfect.
So your
I love
question,
questions.
so your question is this. What is one thing you would like to offer your 10-year-old self?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I love this question. You know what? I often talk to my littles. I call them my littles because sometimes my behavior suggests that my little parts are actually present rather than my adult self. So I'm like, how old am I right now? And then I say, okay, girl, I see you. I know that your needs were not taken care of. I'll talk to my two. I get it that your needs weren't taken care of. So you're showing up and you are crying and you're lonely. But you know what? I got you now. You get to cuddle up with your blankie and you get to go, actually, no, toss that blanket, girl. We're going outside to play. And you get to, ride on a giraffe, even. That's what I came up in my meditation. I got you. I can take care of you from now on. Love talking to my little girls inside, my littles inside.
I do the same thing actually. I
Do
talk to
you?
my 5-year-olds. I talk to my 5-year-old self, and I let him speak the way he would speak. It's
Yeah,
it's not like I'm telling him what to say. It's literally me
that's
listening
right.
to him. And he,
Yep.
if he's ready to cry or pout or everything, it happens. And I talk to him as if that was still me. And I'm
I
very much
love
like,
that.
it's okay. We're not going
It's
through that
so
anymore.
healing. Yes,
It
so
is.
healing.
And so many people don't understand it or see it. They just don't understand that a lot of their trauma, or a lot of their pain at least, comes from that childhood self, things you went through.
Right.
And
And we're still that part. People,
yeah,
time is not linear. We are currently, right now, the infant self and our oldest self right now in our tissues. Like that doesn't go away,
no, we
you
grow from
know?
that. We expand from that.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
at the end of the day, we are still that person.
That's
And,
right.
so we have to have more empathy for people, because we never know what age they're at.
Yep.
That
Yeah,
makes any sense.
exactly. Yeah, and they're all innocent infants too. That's something to remember when you're irritated with someone or even thinking that you hate someone or they have no redeeming qualities. They were once and still are a little tiny infant. There's nothing to hate about that. We're not
So
born hating.
no, we're not. That's a very taught thing. As a person living in the South can tell you. We
Mm.
deal with that. We still deal with that a lot, which I find
Yes, of
amazing.
course.
I'm like, wow, to this day, people still will hate you because of the color of your skin. I just don't
That's right.
understand that. But
Oh, there's examples all the time. You even
yeah,
that was a ridiculous thing to say. Not
it's
even up
definitely,
north, but yeah, forever.
yeah, yeah. And it's terrible, but we're getting through it, and we're learning, and we're growing
Yeah,
as people. And I see a time where that's going to be a thing of the past, and I feel like that time is
I do
soon.
too.
I think it's definitely soon. Okay.
Well, the fact is, white is going to be a minority. So, our whole thinking about that is going to have to shift.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if it's not
And
already the
people are,
case now,
yeah, and we're ascending. So, yeah, it
so many
actually is the
people are.
case, probably.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that
Probably.
we outnumber, but
Yeah.
still, we're all people, and
Yeah.
we all need that love that we didn't get, when we were young.
Right. Yes. And if we can love that ourselves, really, truly, then we have infinite amount of love to give to others. That's when the judgment will stop and the categorizing in others, and we can just freely, unconditionally love everyone. There's no need for war. That's not
No,
like a given.
no,
I've heard people say, well, you can't have a society or world or whatever, or democracy without war or without uh, an army. I don't believe that. I don't
I
believe
don't
that.
either.
That's limited thinking. There's so many, anytime you're thinking this or that, black and white thinking, that's actually a very masculine way of thinking too. Everybody has masculine, feminine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's more of a boxed solution, which makes sense. Whereas feminine ideas are more fluid and have more options than one or two. So you have to have the masculine structure. Feminine can be too fluid so that it flows right through. So you have to have that to balance that. But if they work together, I don't know how that came out, but yeah.
Anyway,
When a lot of studies on like masculine, feminine, so that's where my head goes.
no, that's perfectly okay. Like I study that myself because it's a thing, and you can tell that there is a more rigid side or a more fluid side,
Yep.
or a warlike side versus not a warlike side.
Hmm.
And masculinity is very warlike. It's been like that
Hmm.
forever. And
Hmm.
right now, there's a time for it, because that's the civilization we live in. But
Yep.
it's not the case that has to be. Like, the only reason that that's theirs because people want things and they fight for them.
Yep.
Fighting isn't, necessarily a necessity
Yep.
in things. And we need to get over it because, I mean, everyone's so terrified now that, a one war is going to take out everything.
It's all
And
fear.
yeah, it's definitely all fear. And no one should have to feel like that, just to be controlled.
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah.
what a lot of it is to be controlled.
Yep.
Uh, your journey from a clinical psychologist specializing in trauma to
Mhm.
founding Tula Soul is inspiring. Can
Mhm.
you share what sparked this transition and how your past experiences shape your approach at Tula Soul?
Mhm. Yeah. So basically, I at 12 years old, I decided to go into psychology because I was hospitalized for anorexia, and I was so intrigued, by the what the psychologists were doing for me. And I think part of it, I had to figure out my dysfunctional family and myself, really. So I went right through school to be a psychologist. Knew I wanted to, specialize in trauma because I wanted to see everyone. I saw kids, adults. I saw anyone from anxiety to schizophrenia, which I found that was the thing. My clients with schizophrenia were the brightest, most intriguing, talented, broken, hurt clients, and I really enjoyed working with them. Um, and also, I worked with uh, so many different people from other countries. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not going to get off on that, but
Oh, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
decided I decided that I wanted to specialize working with women, in particular, women who struggled with eating disorders and things like that, because I feel like I have a special gift in helping people with that. And I also wanted to weave in yoga and other Eastern practices because that was what healed me. In 2010, I went back to treatment. I had a severe relapse and I was not interested in recovery. I didn't care. I almost lost my job. But then I went into this yoga body image class. I hadn't done yoga much before that. And I'll never forget, I got into Warrior 2 and I was like, I had this profound thought. I don't have to loathe my body. And it was like, what? My whole life just hating my container, which is me. And there's reasons for that. But um, and then my next thought was, oh, that's what it feels like to have a muscle. Because I was calm enough to like sink and settle into my body. Now I was living from here up my whole life. So just to be in the body is just a fascinating experience. And now I'm so embodied, partly because of that, that if I have a tough decision, I still my mind and then I ask my body and it'll tell me because my body is so much more wisdom, you know. So I think I answered the question, right? Oh,
You did.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah, keep talking. Keep talking. That's good.
And through my education, I continued to take more yoga training. So then I got into like mindfulness and meditation, all of which are part of my recovery journey. And I find more leaning towards Eastern ways, which, so predated Western medicine. And now Western medicine is going back to Eastern approaches and calling it something different,
Yes.
which
Yes.
is cultural appropriation.
True. True. It definitely is. I study mindfulness myself. I'm in a mindfulness class right now,
Are you
actually.
good?
Yes.
Which
So,
one?
it's a mindfulness meditation course through I think it's Mindmo. I think
Okay,
that's what they're
cool.
called.
Yeah,
Yeah, met a guy who runs it online, and
good.
I was like, I really need this in my life, and
It is
I've
so
always
helpful.
studied it. I've always
Yep.
studied it. Like when I was a kid, I was very into Asian culture and Eastern
Oh yeah,
culture.
I bet. Yep.
So
Hmm.
I studied a lot about, the Buddha and
Yep.
meditation and just, quieting yourself, centering yourself and talking with spirit. And it literally is what got me through my last psychosis.
Really?
I literally started doing everything my mind could remember about anything that I had learned that could help calm myself. And so, like, I was taking notes every day. I
Mm.
was watching YouTube videos on everything I ever wanted to learn. I started learning how to draw because I always wanted to draw and I never thought I could. So I started, and for 5 years straight, I literally drew every day, multiple times a day. I spent most of my day drawing,
Wow.
and it helped calm me. Like, it helped make me realize that I was in a psychosis. Like, I told myself every day, I was like, I know I'm in a psychosis. That's what I'm going through. This is what this feels like. We've done this before. But
Wow.
this time it was different because it was so much more intense. And I basically went through a spiritual awakening. And that's why I feel like it was. And I felt like it feels
Yep.
like a psychosis, but it's something totally different. And so I was going through that, and I was talking to gods. Like, my whole family turned into different gods to me. Like, that's how I saw them.
It.
We would get into arguments, and I would say what they were going to say before they said it, because I'd had dreams where I already had this fight. And
Because you
I'm
did.
literally, yeah, because I did. And so I would say it, and it would just freak them out, and they would stop talking right then and just walk off. And I was like, I did have this fight. I remember having this fight.
Yeah.
So
Because you
it,
did.
yeah,
You know what it is? It's not psychosis, it's an ego death.
yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah,
Because you completely detach from and let go of a role, right? Like you detach from your role, like as the son, right?
yes.
Yeah.
As the son, as the family member, as an entertainer, for someone who's entertained people for so long, that, you get tired of it. You don't want to do it anymore. You're just tired of entertaining. You want people to see the real you, and
Yep.
the you that's in here, instead of what you show people. And being late diagnosed autistic, like, it's one of those things you have to mask most of your life so people leave you alone and don't bother you.
Do you think you have autism?
Yes,
Why?
I do. Just texture things. I don't like looking people in the eye. I
You
don't.
know what I think about the eye contact thing, though?
What do you think?
It's about shame for a lot of people. It's
Yeah,
not about autism. I'm feeling that you're still holding on to shame.
I have some. I do have some,
I
and
bet
it's.
that if that you could make eye contact with me because I would be safe for you.
I would probably say so. I would think so.
Mhm.
Like, it's a hard thing to do
Yeah.
for a long time. And that was because one of my punishments as a kid was being sat in front of a mirror, and you have to look at yourself the entire time you're crying or being hurt or saying stuff to you. And so, I got tired of looking at
Oh
me.
my God, Mark.
Um, yeah, it
That's
was, yeah. And I mean, I got used to it, but that's because I had to. And but it still bothered me. And it still bothers me to this day.
that's cruel. That's pretty cruel.
Yeah. 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 Ah, yeah.
Wow.
It was pretty tough. Um,
Yeah.
but I was the experimental child. I was the first, like, grandchild and the first
Okay.
child of my mom. And I know that's making excuses, but it's still what it was. Like, I don't harbor any hatred anymore to them because I've literally gotten through that part of my life. Like, it
That's
was a
it.
thing I had to realize I wasn't going to be perfect. That was the biggest thing I had to learn. And I realized that people were going to be mad because I was going to do things that they didn't want me to do, but I had to for my own sanity.
Yeah.
And so I did those things, and I didn't care what anybody said or what they did. I did those things, and it made me a happier person. It made
Yep.
me feel like I was more connected with the world than anything else. And, also growing up very religious, like, we were
Oh,
insanely
that
religious,
often
you know.
happens.
Yeah,
It's almost like
because
you need that contrast in order to see the truth, right?
yeah, because you get so into what God sees and what you think God sees, which is usually
And
what people.
fearing God.
Yeah, and fearing God because of what you're told for so long. Like,
Hmm.
you get this image in your head, which actually I found out it actually comes from the image we have of our parents, is how we usually get our image of God. And so I had already had issues with my parents. I
That's right.
already, the church was my go-to. And they were, doctrine is doctrine. And so I literally
We
got,
associate that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely associated it. And it had me in shame most of my life.
Mhm. Yep.
And
When we
I
live in
didn't,
shame, we think we're a bad person.
yeah. And so that's what I felt for a long time. I finally gotten over that to most of the degree of that. But there's still some days where it's hard. Uh,
Mhm.
but
It's a daily practice, I think.
it is. It definitely is.
Mhm.
Because that can come back at any time, and that's the thing about being humans is the
Mhm.
fact that all of that stuff comes back at sometimes because we
And
remember it.
see, the thing is that we need each other to see the truth, right? Like I see you, and that helps me. That reassures that I'm real, that I'm alive, that I'm not making up stories, or that my stories are real, right? Because life is all a narrative, and we're producing the movie of our life. That's the cool thing to remember too. Like anything can change in an instant.
Yep,
I always say at the very top of the inhale and the bottom of the exhale, there's a pause, tiny little pause. But in that moment, anything can happen, right?
I agree. I definitely agree with that. I used to tell people anything is possible until we decide what it is. Uh,
Yeah. Oh, I
like,
like
because
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
because it's true. Like
Hmm.
until you say something about something, or you
Yeah.
definitely make a choice,
Yeah.
it's whatever it could be. And
Hmm.
it's not until we make that choice does our reality take shape and
That's
move.
right.
And
And
that's
how
it
we,
moves toward
yeah.
those goals and those choices that you make.
Yeah.
And that's why part of my book is about that, actually.
Oh,
Um,
cool. I
yeah,
can't wait to read it.
when I get
Yeah.
it published. I'm still working on getting it published,
Hey,
but
yeah, that's a process. We'll
that
both get our books out there.
yeah, that is a process, and it was one I didn't expect to be so difficult.
Yeah. Oh, of
I was,
course they're gonna make oops.
yeah, I was
Oh,
like,
but
there's
following,
so much about this.
yeah, there is. And you do self-publish, which is a whole nother option now. But I think it was on the train of what we were talking about. But um, our body doesn't neurologically know, oh yeah, the difference between grief and ecstasy in terms of what we're experiencing until we assign a thought or a memory. Okay.
Mm,
So the deeper we grieve, yeah, the higher the ecstasy we can feel. So get this, life and death, opposite, grieving and ecstasy
yeah,
or whatever, the opposite. So when they come together, they that's when an orgasm happens. Okay, follow me. Life at an orgasm can happen, like new life, right?
yeah,
And it's also where death occurs because we actually do le petit mort, tiny little death
no death, yeah.
when we have an orgasm. That
Wow,
like is so mind blowing to me.
wow, that is amazing. That's not something I would think about often, like that,
My
but it
therapist
makes
puts things
sense.
together.
It
Yeah,
definitely makes sense.
isn't that amazing?
It is. I
And
made
like when you laugh at it, when you laugh at a funeral and you cry having an orgasm, like,
same thing.
yeah,
It
isn't
is
that
the same
just,
thing.
yeah,
It's wow. I never thought about that.
I love those things.
I
And then I
just
had another thought today. Now, this could be off, but okay, so this is often a different subject, but I think this is important. Women who are sexually abused end up being promiscuous, in part because they are, when they are abused, their body, their power, everything is taken from them. So, in an attempt to gain mastery and to take back that power, there is an automatic, you know, animalistic need to have sex with many perpetrator types. Okay. And, or just of that gender, or either, or all. And there's another thing I thought of today. There's another reason trauma bonding happens with a perpetrator type because Our trauma is stored in our tissues, primarily in our hips. Okay, because that's like where the fatty tissue is. And when you have an orgasm or when you are penetrated, the hips release tissue, or the tissue is hit. When you have an orgasm, it is released. So that is trauma bonding. Do you see? Because,
Yeah. I mean,
and
yeah.
that's maybe why women fall in love with men that they might not otherwise do.
I would think it also would be about taking that power back so that no one will ever have that power over them again. They will always make the
Damn
choice.
straight.
So they can
And
literally,
it's inevitable. Yep. And it's inevitable that I will be used this way again. So I'm going to go ahead and do it first.
yeah.
I don't have a right to say no, or rather, this situation is going to happen because I am helpless, because when you're a child, you are. So, and so I'm going to do this first so that at least I have some control over something that is so fucking devastating. I don't know if I can swear on your thing, but
No,
beat
it's
me
fine.
out.
Let's go ahead.
Beat me out.
No, no,
Mhm.
we curse on this show. We curse on the
Oh,
show.
good, good.
But I
The
mean,
only thing to do.
same thing with boys, I would say, not to the same degree, but boys who had early on sexual trauma
Same.
usually are going to do the same thing.
Yes.
And
And yep, that's just
and
how.
usually they will have attractions to the people like the person that did it.
Yep.
And it's a hard thing to get through. It's definitely
Hmm.
a hard thing to get through when you don't think anybody will listen. And
Yeah.
that's a very hard situation to go through.
And
And
people
so
need
many
to just, I'm sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was saying so many people do go through that
Mhm.
nowadays.
And I'm sick of not talking about it. Like, I think it needs to be talked about because this is a rape culture. This happens all the time, and people, uh, and I don't believe in talking about it. I mean, I think that just women need to be heard and have justice,
Yeah, definitely.
women need to be protected at least and believed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same thing happens with mental illness
that's
patients,
right. Yes,
or the elderly and children.
yes.
Like there's so many
Marginalized
groups.
populations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just very much so. And
Mhm.
that's what I told my grandmother one day. I was like, you don't know, people don't listen to old people and crazy people. I was like, we don't have a voice. Like people
Yeah,
just don't hear what we have to say. I mean,
that's
to the
right.
point where there are some mental health laws going into effect where they
Yeah.
harm what people with certain mental illnesses are. And they're putting
Really?
things like, yeah, and they're putting words. I know it's happening in like Massachusetts, I think.
Like you're going to be protected, or rather, or
Well, they say that we're going to be protected in certain ways, but the wording they're using leaves loopholes for a plethora of things and characterizing people as certain things that don't fit that description and vice versa. So
yeah, I
there's
don't like
problems
that.
with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's problems
Mhm.
with it. And there's looking like that'll be sent world or at least countrywide if it
Mm,
happens in Massachusetts. And because
mm,
their laws are changing all the time when it comes to mental health. And I get emails
yeah.
all the time about some of the changes they're making. I looked up North
Yeah. Yeah.
Carolina's mental health laws, and they are appalling.
Really?
Basically, like anybody can call the doctors on you and call you crazy. All they have to do is go up to a magistrate and say, this person is crazy. This person is doing these things, and I think they're crazy. And the sheriffs will come to your house and they will take you to the hospital and they will start setting it up to where
Yeah.
you're, put in the hospital for who knows how long. Like that
And
happened to me.
yeah, my sister, and also, I've sent people for a 72-hour hold for very good reason, and they have been released. So there's something so broken in our system, but I know people who have been committed to their very detriment that had nothing, no business. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
for you,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that was devastating for you.
Yeah, and I was like, I just come home from a date. I was literally coming into the yard
Oh,
with the date,
no.
and the sheriffs were
With
sitting
the
there, and
date?
yeah. I mean,
Oh,
we rode together, so she drove, and I literally we came into my driveway, and the sheriffs were sitting there, and they were like, "We got a call that you were acting crazy and drinking and all this stuff." And I was like, "No." I was like, "Can I know who said that?" And they were like,
oh
"No."
my God.
I was like, "I haven't seen anybody in weeks," and I hadn't. I had been around people like 2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 or 4
Who
weeks,
who would have done
and
that? And
family.
then he took you. Hmm.
But I was like, "I haven't seen them in weeks. Like, what is this?" And they took me to the hospital, and I had to go sit there in front of a doctor and tell them I was like, "I'm not suicidal. Like, I'm not. There's nothing wrong. I don't know why they're saying that." And so they sent me home, and then they called again, and that time they took me, and I had to stay there for 10 days. So, like, it was literally day after day after day of that happening. But it it changed a lot of how I saw mental health, even though I've been dealing with it, like, in professionals in mental health since I was 13. And so I'm very aware of how quick they'll take you and commit you. And, that's a lot of reasons why a lot of people with mental illness don't get the help they
You're
need,
right.
is because that fear of getting committed and never knowing when you're gonna get out is far stronger than they
Mhm.
might be able to help me. And that's a
That's a
big
good
thing.
point.
Yeah, like, you're too scared that you're gonna be taken, like, and go to prison. It's like, because I would say some places where you're committed are worse than prisons.
Oh,
And
hell, I've been to prison, so I know.
me too. And I'm just like, it's so much worse
Yeah.
than anything because you don't know if you'll ever get out.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And
You know,
it's terrifying.
boy, I'm really having some thoughts now about I hadn't really considered the change in the therapy world in terms of like fear of being
Yeah.
like but I think what's also happening is they're not getting the point of there needs to be somatic work. Talk therapy just isn't enough.
Yeah.
Um, and there is a push towards more holistic medicine, but I think it's going to even keep going that way even more, which I think
I do
is
too.
really positive, and less
I
of
agree.
this focus on labels because we need to look at the spiritual and um, the whole multidimensional thing that's going on. It's not just these symptoms.
Yeah.
They are representing something that is so much deeper.
Yeah. That's one of my theories is that humanity in itself is a multiverse because
Yeah.
we're all person. We're one being. We're all one
Yep.
person. And if you want to see all the choices you could ever make, you literally just have to look at another person, and that'll show you into a world of choices you could have made,
Yes,
what
because when we
your life would
die, we
look
come
like.
back and yeah,
Yeah. So, I
yeah,
mean, you can literally look at all the choices you could ever make with all the people around you.
yeah.
And, most people think about a multiverse as internal, like you're one person who's living out all your choices at once. And it's like,
They happen.
but yeah, but you are just not in the way they internalize it and think it's just you.
Yeah,
And it's just 1,000 yous in in different ways
right.
living out this life. But think about it. We're
You're
all
the
human.
same.
We're
Yeah.
all the same. We all have the
Mhm.
same choices to a degree.
Yep.
And, depending on what we go through, which is always going to be different
Mhm.
between who's talking or, just being around other people, everything is always that different, but you'll have some
Mhm.
choices that are the same, which
Yep.
lets you veer off into a different reality of every person.
Right.
So you can always see all the choices you will ever make because people will do them. People will
Yep.
always do them, and you can always see that. And so I think that that's why humanity in itself is the multiverse, and not thinking about it so internally as far as it's just me. Me
Right.
is you, and you is me.
Right. The
Everybody
mirror
is a
thing,
part of
which is
that.
lovely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I feel like that's kind of why we do that. Like, is because we see ourselves as equals to a degree.
Yeah.
We see each other as humans. So what could happen to you could happen to me,
Yeah. And it usually does.
and it usually does.
Yep.
So that's my big theory on that.
Yeah.
Like, it helps me have empathy for people when I
Right.
really don't want to. But
I know I can have empathy and I can have love for everybody. It's something that I really love about myself. Mhm.
Yeah. And I think a lot more people are opening up to that fact.
Mhm.
I definitely see love on the internet with people just being open with each other and
Yeah.
connecting with each other. And like I have people I connect with who are literally in Australia, and like
Right.
I'll connect with them stronger than with people in my life. Like
Mm.
it's a good time for technology when used for connection benefits, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, it's hard to believe though.
It
So I
is.
just kind of I'm trying to like sit with it, but I don't then I think I don't want to be relying on that, but I desire that connection, with people. So you kind of
Yeah,
you kind of go with what your body says and make decisions that way.
I agree. I definitely agree. And it literally is your choice. There's so many choices to be made.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's what is hard for people. I know it's hard for me sometimes, where
Yeah.
the choice I make doesn't feel like the best one, even though I feel like that's my only choice.
Right.
I feel like we get to that point because we have to make all these decisions in a split second that we
Hmm.
don't fully think about the repercussion of our actions. So, as a psychologist, how would you garner about feeling of guilt or that feeling of feeling like your choices are not that great and
Like
not
choices in
feeling,
the past.
yeah,
Choices. Hmm. You know, you have to let go because there's no going back and things don't last, you know, and life is short. So you got to move forward or actually just stay present and let things unfold.
that's what I try to do is stay present.
Hmm.
That's a big thing for me. Once again, also part of my book is a perpetual
Hmm.
present theory. Um,
Where did you come up with these theories
I'll be sitting at home doing nothing,
and just like
and
sitting and think because that's
like I
where
watch
like the
YouTube
betas
videos.
came from.
I
Yeah.
watch YouTube videos, and like it'll be something random. Like I'll be watching something about comic books, and the
Hmm.
comic book will have something in it that just sparks my interest. And I'm like, I wonder what it would be if you added this to that. And then I'll usually have a talk with Chat GPT, and we'll conversate
Oh,
about it.
okay.
And like we'll just talk about it, and I get better outcomes to the answers with that, and it helps me theorize even better than I could by myself.
Wow. That's interesting because I've been like sort of afraid of Chat GPT. I
I
mean, I use it, but I've sort of thought of it as not cheating, but taking the easy way. But why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Right?
it's a sounding board. I feel like it's a
Yeah.
sounding board, and it
Yeah.
helps you articulate your ideas in a way that it might take you years to get to.
Right. Right.
So I feel like, when used in the right way,
Hmm.
it's helpful, but it can definitely
Yeah.
be a dangerous tool in people who don't want to do things.
Yeah. I feel like as long as my poetry stays, my body's doing its thing, stays authentic because that means so much to me. When I write poetry, it just flows. I
Yeah.
don't my body's doing its thing. I don't edit it
Yeah.
and it's such a beautiful thing to me. So I just don't want to this when this happens, I'm not in control of it. It just
I
happens.
understand. I
It's a
understand.
kundalini thing. Or so that means I'm feeling safe. But it's actually something that I kind of want people to see
Yeah.
because what it does is it shows how somatic trauma
Everything
is.
is. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, this is because my body is so in tune and I am so embodied. This is actually a beautiful process that's happening here. Because
I
I'm
do that.
completely.
I
Does this happen to you?
Yeah. Except
Yeah.
mine is pressing on my chest.
Okay.
and like always pressing on my chest or holding my chest or like
Yeah.
anywhere up in this area, and I'll do
Yeah.
that.
And it's this particular, like satisfies a particular itch, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. This is how mine looks. Oh, did you hear that? I mean, my neck will
yeah.
crack 100 times.
Thank you for feeling safe enough with me to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that because there we go. When I do this, I feel so strange. I feel so awkward because when your body moves and does what it needs to do to heal without your mind consent, when it's using its own brain as it should, I don't like the word should, as it can, when you let it, it will do its own dance.
Yeah,
It heals itself. It heals itself,
I
stretches itself
danced.
into perfect alignment.
I
So,
danced for 3 years straight.
yeah,
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 like that
to
was
get
part
it
of my
all out.
background. Yep, like I danced and I sang every day.
Damn, you're such a
And
cool person.
nah, nah. I'm a person that's been through a lot of stuff, and I've done a lot of interesting things.
That's who's cool because I'm cool too.
I feel you. I feel you on that. But I sang at the top of my lungs every day. I felt so bad for my neighbors, but I couldn't help it. Um,
That's part of healing. That's getting out the throat chakra using your
yeah,
voice. Yep.
and I
Awesome.
got it out. I did it. Like, and my neighbors were so supportive in the fact that they didn't never call police except for one of them. Uh, but
So you
they
got rid
they
of them.
yeah, they were just like they just let me do it. They were like, he's fine. He'll be fine.
Oh, that's
And
good.
yeah, they were so much better supportive than my family was. But
Yeah,
that's
I
neither
can
here
hear
nor
that.
there. Yeah, it was an interesting time. It was an interesting time.
Oh.
But the whole reason I started my coaching business was
Mhm.
because I wanted to help people who felt like I did and then didn't have the support
Mhm.
they needed. Because
Yes.
I was, crucial in going about my own change and having
Yeah.
people tell me exactly what I needed to do didn't feel like me because I felt like it didn't work for me. So it would
Yeah.
have been more of a thing where I would have went back to doing what I was doing
Yes.
because I didn't have any say so in how I got better.
Right.
And that's how I feel about others. Like they have to have personalized support
Hmm.
so their changes will stick because they feel like they came up with the idea and it's their plan and they want that plan to work out. So they literally will stick to it. And it's
Yep.
just about like writing something down. Anytime we write anything with intention, is we're
Yep.
more likely to do it. We're just more likely
That's
to
right.
do it. So that's my thought process on getting, how I changed my life. And that
Yeah.
just happened in the last 5 years.
Wow.
I was an entirely different person. I was an entirely
Yeah.
different person. And I didn't like that person. So
Mhm.
my mind and my body literally on their own started doing things. And then I would see a video a week or two later saying, this is what you need to do if you want this to happen. I'm like, holy crap, I've been doing that.
That's what I did. Yeah. See, that's what
Yeah,
I mean. Your body knows what it needs to do.
it does. It
It's
definitely
got
does.
all the answers. Yeah.
And that was the next question on my list was that Tula Soul, you create individualized wellness plans that celebrate and uplift women's unique identities. Can you walk us through the process of creating these plans and how you integrate body movement and mindful practices?
Sure. Okay. So I'm a little different than yours. Well, I'm making assumptions, but I'm not the kind of coach where somebody comes in and what are your top 3 achievements that you want to do and how long and how can we log the steps? And I don't do recipes and sorry, I like to move and
That's fine.
um, I don't normally have a clear intake either. I kind of like to go with the flow of things. And so I let each client kind of determine what the general plan is, and we kind of co-create a vision rather
I
than
like
a
that.
treatment plan and set intentions appropriate to what we're looking at. But it's very individualized and it's in the spirit of how I work and more like vision with goals sprinkled in.
That's what I like to do with my own business is, let them, like, you have to let those people come up with the plan.
Yeah.
Like, it's crucial. Like I was just saying, like, it helps so much more and it helps them so much more.
Yeah. And what's different is I offer workshops which are, obviously there's like a curriculum and that's a whole different thing, but sometimes people need that. And I'm going to be offering more like workshops that, like day long and retreats, like weekend, whatever, so that I
Nice.
can present because I love teaching and I want to present certain topics, like a workshop on body image. I have a small one that I'm going to be doing soon called Love Your Body and Lose Body Shame. So I love that one. That will be in January. And I want to host a week-long retreat. No, Thursday to Sunday. Those are usually how women's retreats are. That's what I found. So I'm doing a women's retreat Thursday to Sunday in the spring. I'm so looking forward to that. It's been planned for probably a year now. I just haven't
Wow.
actually followed through with it because I haven't chosen a place, which I haven't. But don't worry, I will. I've got it narrowed down. And as soon as I do, it's going to be filled because that's how the universe works for me. You know who one of my guides is? Prince. And
Ooh.
this is not his Prince.
Oh, yeah.
This,
Yeah.
this isn't his symbol, but it kind of reminds me of him. And I got it at the Rock and Roll Instrument Hall of Fame.
Oh, nice.
But
I want to go there.
yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool. I forget where it was, Atlanta, maybe. No,
Hmm.
not Arizona is what I meant.
Wow. That's
Mhm.
far. Yeah.
Yeah,
I need to go there.
far
I
for either
definitely
of
need to go
us.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for real.
Yep.
Oh, I need to go there because music is a big part of my life. Uh,
Yeah.
I think it should be a part of everybody's life, though.
Oh, it has to be.
It's
We are sound waves. So
yeah,
music is so key to, I mean, it regulates our emotions and nervous system
and memories.
for sure. That's why
Uh,
sometimes I can't listen to it.
yep.
Hmm.
I've been in a section of my life right now. I haven't been listening to any music, and I
Yeah.
just realized it like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I haven't listened to any music in way too
Hmm.
long. And I'm just
Hmm.
like, I wonder why. Like, but I've been feeling off. So it lets me know something's off because I'm one to listen to
Yeah.
music all the time.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's just I've been working so hard. Like, I've been working
Could be.
so hard about trying to get all my business stuff correct and my YouTube channel and stuff like that.
Mm.
Like, it's all just, and I've been working on it for 5 years straight. Like, since I started my,
Wow.
healing, I've worked every
Yeah.
single day, all day long and all night long. And I
Cool.
think it's, finally starting to get to me that I need a break.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So you got to listen.
yeah, I definitely got to listen. I got to listen to some music today. I got to. Um,
Yeah.
because
You
I
get
it's
to.
definitely, yeah, I get to. I definitely get to. And it's any piece of music I want to listen to. And that's what I love about music because there's so much to choose from.
That's true.
If I'm not playing stuff myself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's all the music I
I
can think
love
of.
that. What do you
Yes, I do
play?
too. I play everything.
Do you?
I can literally, it takes me about 10 minutes to learn at least one song on each instrument I play, as long as I can hold it for a few minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some mad skills.
It's
Dang.
fun. It's definitely fun. It's one of the skills I'm most proud of. That's for sure.
I kind of
Like
want to learn how to drum.
oh,
I
that's
might
my
do
favorite.
that and learn
I
how
was
to
in.
sing.
I definitely do that too.
Yeah.
If you ever need teaching for that, let me know,
Really?
please. I'll be a
You
voice
do?
teacher. Heck yeah.
Okay. Wow. Maybe I will do that because I really would like to.
You
Sometimes,
should.
you know what? When I here I go revealing myself. When I'm high or when I take CBD, I can really sing. What's that all about?
Because you don't care.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, I get a different tone entirely. Like
It's
it
because you don't care. And that's
really?
your real voice coming out.
Probably.
Like that's your
Well, then
real
I
voice
can
coming
sing.
out. Yeah.
Then I can
Everybody
sing.
I think everybody can sing.
You're right, because we can, and it's all about yeah, letting go.
Yeah, I mean, we have to let go, and that's how the music comes out the best. Like you'll hear it
Yeah.
better, you'll experience it more. Is you have to not care, and people
Mhm.
are always thinking about how they sound or what they're singing or what comes next in the song and how this plays in the music that you can't think of it
Yes,
in a freeing way. Like it's
you're
always
exactly
structured in
right.
some way. But when you don't care, the music is entirely different. It's like when you can feel the music in a singer when they're singing a song because you know they feel that song. It's because they don't care anymore. It's the same thing that happens with the spiritual awakening. At that moment,
Yes.
there is, you don't care anymore. And once you hit that moment, you see things for what they are. You can experience things how you're supposed to
Yes.
experience them. And it's the same thing with music, same thing with dance,
Yeah.
same thing with theater, any expressive type
Yeah.
of thing. It's that
Or
moment of
art.
not caring. Yes, it's how your flow hits, is because that moment when you don't care opens up flow for you. And when
Yeah.
flow opens up for you, everybody else can experience what you're experiencing
That's right.
because you don't care and now they don't care. And now y'all are the
Love
same
that.
wavelength, and that's why it hits you so much more when you
Same
don't care.
vibration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
mean, you have to, like, everybody can say they just don't think so. And because they don't think so, it puts it in their head that they can't. And then once
Right.
it's in their head that they can't, they won't.
They're
Like,
on that. Hmm.
it's all about
Brilliant.
the wavelength of how, how our mindset is about whatever we're doing. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's the opening for all flow states, is that feeling of
Right.
not caring. Like, you just
Yeah.
have to not care, and
Yeah.
everything is possible.
I know. Isn't that crazy? You just make that choice.
That's the power of humanity.
Yeah.
That's why I like to think of as one of our greatest things. Once one of us can do it, we can all do it.
Hmm.
It only
Yeah.
takes one of us to prove it,
Right. Or
that
to
it can be
believe
done.
in
Yeah, to believe that it
ourselves.
can be
Right.
done. Yeah,
Hmm.
you can do it. And like,
Yep.
what else can say that? That we found in the universe. Like, we're the
Right.
only creature that can do that so
And
far.
why not?
And why
Why
not?
not?
Because there's so much to do.
Yeah.
There's
But
just so
sometimes
much.
you just got to like slow down too.
That's true too. That's true too. I definitely have to, because
It's
it
hard to
is
know
getting to
when to
me.
do that. Yeah.
I never know when to do. I never know when to do that.
I know.
Uh, like, my mom will
And I
be
never
like,
know like when to clean up the mess either.
"Yeah, that's true too. I never know when to clean up the mess. I got that
Yeah.
problem right now. I just started cleaning it again today, and it was horrendous. I was like, I have been away for too long, and I haven't been
Yeah.
anywhere though. But that's the problem.
Yeah.
I
I
haven't gone
know.
anywhere, and it's
I
just like,
never go
oh,
anywhere either because it's too much to get together.
it really is. It
Yeah.
definitely is. Like, that's why I do this show. It helps me work on my, structured timing
Mhm.
and doing things at certain points of time when I'm supposed to, because I have to,
Yeah.
make appointments for this. So it's like, it lets me work on that, and I'm getting better with it, because at
That's
first
a
it was
good
not so
point.
good. I mean,
Do you
everything I
have
try to
coaching
do.
appointments too?
I have one client right now,
Hmm.
and she's actually doing pretty well. So I haven't really talked to her in a few weeks, but I'm still working on learning stuff for the business. I'm taking the
Hmm.
first 2 years, 2.5 years to just study and build the type of practice that I want, because I'm still learning certain things, because I went to college, but I didn't finish. And there's something going on with my school that they won't let me go back into school. I don't know what that's
Hmm.
about, but they're literally stopping me. And so I'm learning through certifications. So I'm
Okay.
taking so many certification classes. I have 39 certifications so far.
Jeez.
And yeah, I like to learn. Um,
Like that too.
so yeah, I was like, if I can get a certification for it while I'm learning, that's great. That way I can put it with all the other stuff I want to, teach and help
Yeah.
with, because I feel like it takes multiple modalities and teachings
Yes, it
to be able to
does.
help multiple people,
Hmm.
because once again, personalized support, and each thing helps me help that many more people,
That's
because that
right.
might help them. So I'm learning
That's
so
right.
many. I'm working on trauma informed care right now, and what's the other one? Oh, it's
That's
gonna kill
so
me.
cool that you're doing that because I think everyone should be taking trauma informed. It's just necessary now.
Yeah,
It just is
that and
necessary.
emotion formed care as well, is
Good.
another one that should be working on. I just got
Yeah.
the level 1 certification for that a few
Good
weeks
for
ago.
you. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm
I love
excited.
it that you learn. I'm always taking a new class too. It's just how I roll.
I have so many. Oh, it's law of attraction coaching. That's what I'm taking now
Oh,
too.
oh, that's
Yeah,
cool. That sounds
I'm literally.
interesting.
It's a lot of things I haven't thought about, in the sense of, it maybe have crossed my mind, but I didn't do anything with it. Like, so to hear it
Like that.
again validates the things that, I was like, oh yeah, that, duh. I mean, just thinking about like bringing nature into your day,
Yeah.
and like there's certain animals that just come to you, or you'll
Yes.
have situations where you'll see a certain type of animal over and over and over again, and how
Mm,
to take what those animals are
mm.
to us as people and take their qualities and try to admit those qualities ourselves.
Oh,
And
yeah.
mine are ravens, and
Really?
ravens and crows. Like I see them everywhere, and
Wow.
I feel like I'm a lot like them. They're intelligent birds,
Yeah.
They know how to open things up if they need to. They work with tools. And it's
Yeah.
like, I can do that. I'm a raven. Even though my last name is Lyons. Even though my last name is Lyons.
Yeah,
Like
it's true.
my daughter and my son used to think that we were related to lions when they
Oh,
were
I bet they loved
little.
that.
They did. Lion King was one of their favorite movies. They were like, "See, Daddy is Simba." And I'm like,
That's
"Yeah, I know. That's us." I was the
awesome
same way as
enough.
a kid. I was the same way as a kid. I swore up and down I was related to actual lions, and my family
Did
was
you?
just like, "Yeah." I'm like,
Well,
"That's
that's a
neat."
good story. It's a good
It
story.
is. It makes it fun. I told my mom that I was going to make this like entire history of
Yeah.
like my lineage, and I was gonna
Yeah.
like take pictures of me and put them in like old school prop costumes and stuff like that, and just do a whole bunch of them, and then tell
Why
my
not?
kids that history of my family. She was like, "Don't do that. She's like, you'll mess them up." I was like, "No, it'll be fun. It'll be fun." I'll be like, "That's my great
Someday
great
they'll
great
be like,
grandfather." Yeah,
they'll be
Marcus S.
talking about it in
Lyons.
therapy.
Yeah, I was like, I better not do that. But it would be fun. It would be
It would
great to
be.
come up. Like I like to come up with history stories. I
Do
used
you?
to as a kid, I would take all my friend groups
Yeah.
and I would put them as a certain god or goddess from Greek mythology or Egyptian mythology or
Love
Roman
that.
mythology. And that's who they were to me. And that's like,
Hmm.
and I would have them write stuff in my book that I carried with me that I wrote in. And they would write out quotes and stuff that they said or they thought at the time, and I would put that in with the story of who they were, and I would come
That's
up
so
with like
cool.
trials and things for them to
Mhm.
go against and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
That's awesome.
I got closer to people that way, and
Yeah.
once again, it's all about connection, and it helped me connect
That's
to
right.
people who they thought they were, and
Yep.
not just who I thought they were. So it
Yeah.
let them, tell a story that they wanted to tell, and I felt like I could write it down.
Yeah.
I never did anything
Right.
with
You're
those
the
stories though.
storyteller. You're the
Yeah,
storyteller.
yeah,
That's how I thought about the other day. I was just thinking about myself because that I want to do that.
yeah.
And I thought to myself, the word storyteller came. And it just felt right. Like that's my mission is to tell my story because I have people to heal, or rather, it's not my responsibility or it's not my job, or that's not, it's my dharma to share my story so that others may share theirs
Yeah.
and to share my story to heal ancestral wounds, right? To speak for my grandmother and my mother and my grandmother's grandmother and way back to, you know, the very first person on earth, which was a Black woman.
Yes. It reminds me of my spiritual awakening. Like I would be dancing on my porch and I'd be like, why do we dance? And the voice that came to me said, this is how we praise. We praise everything. We literally praise the world being here because it's our
Yeah,
Eden. So
that's right.
this is how we praise. We look up, we look down, we look up, we look down. And
Yeah.
it's, as above, so below, as above, so
Yep.
below. And like
Mhm.
it helped me through it. Like there was another thing. I just put this up on Facebook this morning, and I put it on LinkedIn too, I think. But it's the way I time travel. And
Oh.
I was explaining how you try time travel. And I what I do is I visualize a circle on the floor and it looks like a clock.
Hmm.
When I walk clockwise, I'm walking into the future.
Hmm.
Each
Cool.
number being a event, a significant event in your life. And the time in between the numbers was the steps you took toward that event.
Okay.
So if you walked counterclockwise, that was you walking in your past.
Okay.
And the same thing with, each number being an event and all the steps back going backwards, of how you got to that event. And I
Gotcha.
think it would actually help people get through some things because in the middle of the circle is your present. So if you walk
Okay.
forward or you walk backwards, wherever you stop at, you walk into the center and you're in that present moment.
Gotcha.
So when you
Hmm.
do that, you can sit in that thought, or sit into that version of the past that you remember, or sit into that future that you want. So you can literally take the time in that moment and either have to celebrate it or think about why you still feel that way about something, or, how that might need to change in your thoughts because you're past it now. And,
Hmm.
with time, it takes, things can change for anything if you have enough
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
And so I was literally putting that up this morning,
Yeah.
and I was just
Yeah.
like, it's a great visualization choice, I feel like,
Hmm.
because it literally lets you time travel, and
Yeah.
you don't need
Okay.
a car to do it.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, I really enjoyed that. Uh,
Okay.
Mindful meditation is a core component of your approach. How do you incorporate mindfulness into your coaching and wellness programs? And what benefits have your clients experienced from this practice?
Um, so okay, I'm sorry, what mindfulness?
Yes.
How I use that? Okay, so mindfulness and there look at me, I was like totally distracted. So mindfulness is exactly that. It is being present in the moment. And I think for most of us, we spend time, which is what I was doing. I was thinking back and, into my past. And
Time travel.
yes, exactly, because I was literally time traveling. So we end up doing, but in a helpful way. Most of the time, we're just distracted by, oh, you know what? I wish I would have picked that up at the grocery store yesterday, or thinking about the future. What am I going to eat next? Shit, I can't pay that bill. Just so many different worries and overwhelm. But if we are present in the moment, which is really the only place that we can be and the only place that we need to be, then we can just be at peace. Because where am I? Here. What time is it? Now. Here. Now. That's all I need to know.
That's all that we can do.
Hmm.
It's the only thing we can actually do is in that present moment. That's the other theory I had. You've actually talked about every theory I've had in like
No
what I
kidding.
wrote my book about. Uh,
Well,
yeah,
there's a reason that we meet,
yeah,
because
yeah.
I gave you your ideas.
But it literally is. It's a
You're
perpetual
welcome.
present. It was perpetual present, and like you literally have that moment in your life right then, and that's the only moment you have. Everything
Yeah.
else is thought based. Like everything else is thought based. So you literally can't live there anymore. So you have to live in that present moment, and the things you do in your present, thinking about your present, is far more helpful than just being on autopilot and
Yep.
not taking the time you need to be in that present moment because it's
Right.
the only time we have.
Yeah.
So, you know,
That's
if,
exactly, yeah. If
and
otherwise you're just living in conditioning and denial and illusions. That's what I'm talking about with embodiment. If you're in your body present, then you're alive. Otherwise, you're dying or dead.
I agree, or dead. And a lot of people are dying
Are dead.
nowadays and dead.
Yeah.
I was dead
Living
for a long
dead, which is,
time.
I think, yeah, see, I was too.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was starving myself, there was no feelings there, and when you're doing whatever you're doing, psychosis, there's no room for feelings there. And that's exactly why it's present. Although sometimes psychotic state is more in touch with reality.
And that's how I felt during my psychosis. Like I felt everything was far more real, even though I could tell what things weren't there and what things were. Like I could tell when somebody was in front of me, but I also knew that the voice I was hearing coming from the other room was not there because no one was in there. And that's how I
Yeah.
based all of my reality stuff was on other people.
Yeah.
Like it was that connection with other
Which
people.
is
Like I knew
crazy
when somebody
making
was in front of me.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Basing it
So
on that.
like, yep. And that's how I kept the difference. I was like, okay, this is just me. And then I'd be like, someone's here, they're not hearing or seeing this, they're not
Yeah.
experiencing this. And I'm like, that's it. And So when everybody kept telling me, I was like, yes, I'm going through a psychosis, but
Yeah.
it's not what you think because it's spirit, and spirit is
Mhm.
also a part of us. Like we
Yep.
literally,
We
it's
have
in there.
layers. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, you can't take things for face value. You
Mhm.
really can't, judge what a person is going through
Yeah.
at any given moment because you don't know what they're experiencing.
Right. Or
And
even
that
what layer they're living on,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Or
that's
what
hard.
age. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
I try to do more with that. Now I don't feel as spiritually open, but I feel more focused
Hmm.
and far more on track with what I'm here to do.
Good.
And so I don't need to feel like that version of reality again, or at least
Yeah.
for not right now. So like it helps me stay healthier. And like
Hmm.
it helps me, not go back towards,
Yeah.
skip like the whole psychosis stuff. And
Yeah.
it's what keeps me going most
Yeah.
days. It's like
Yeah.
so
It's a
much better.
balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Because there's draw to psychosis,
Yeah.
right? There's a certain draw there because things are clear. It's kind of, I get that. Yeah. And it's kind of like you make a choice to stay in, it's two different worlds and there's not right or wrong, good or bad,
Yeah.
right? So it's just a matter of finding balance between the two, dabbling here and dabbling there. That's how I play
Yes.
the game.
It's the spiritual world and the physical world that you're always, in between. And it can be hard,
Hmm.
but it's also manageable. And I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of people don't think that is the case. I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of people with a mental illness don't think that recovery is an actual thing.
That's
And,
right.
and because you
And
don't,
they're told that they're not.
yeah, that's a
But if,
big thing about it.
yeah. And if people could understand and get into their, I call it subtle body layer. Like we have the physical body layer, but subtle body, which is, you can say it's spirit or whatever. And if
Yeah,
they know how to rest there, then things would be different.
I agree. I definitely agree.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh, it, it's been hard. It was a hard life. And I have come so far
Mhm.
and I never thought I would get this far.
Mhm.
Like I didn't think I was going to live past 21. And having power to live the life I want to live has been amazing. And connecting with people who are like me on a mental level has helped me more than almost anything else could. So I want to thank you for being on the show.
Those words mean so much to me. I I highly value authenticity, and my mission is to help those who struggle with mental illness and sharing my truth and my story and being authentic, helping you makes me feel really good, and hopefully it means other people were helped too.
I'm definitely helped. And this is the end of our episode. Dr. Joe, thank you for being on the show so
And
much, so much.
thank you. I learned so much from you too. Thank you.
Please come back and be on the show again.
Oh, come on. Can I come next week?
I mean, we can make that happen. I mean, it's around Christmas, but I'll make time for you. I will definitely make time for you. I had so
No,
many
it was
questions.
fun.
I had so many questions, but I like to have a discussion instead of proper.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, that
like
was, I
just
mean,
talking to people.
yeah, that's that, of course. And I can answer the questions next time. Sorry, I was just going on. Oh my gosh, it's late too.
No,
That was
no,
just so much
I like that
fun.
fact. I know, I love that. That's what I like about it. That's why I don't care about the questions because I'm like, I can come back to them another time. They'll usually say
Yeah.
they'll come back. And like,
Okay.
so I'm like, yeah, so it's
Good.
awesome. I
Good.
have one last question for you though.
Yeah.
And that is, what is the question you have for the next guest without
Oh,
knowing who
okay.
the next guest is?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. What is your passion? That's what I ask people, instead of, what do you do? Which is sort of, boring and not very appropriate even. Um, what's your passion?
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm still working on what my passion is, but I'm getting there. I am definitely getting there, and I'm so excited about that fact. I
Yeah.
like to end every episode with thank you for today, thank you for yesterday, and thank you for tomorrow. Always remember to question your reality, and at every end, there is a beginning. You guys take care and have a wonderful day.